What's up, everybody? I'm Ezekiel Cheney, aka Zeke the Superstar, coming to you live with Join the Show Randall with the beauty influencer Red Lip Chronicles. You can find me at Instagram on Zeke the Superstar, that's D-A Superstar, and Ezekiel Cheney on Facebook. I'd love to see you guys in the future.
I'm Joy Nichelle Randall, the beauty influencer, owner of Flawless Makeup Art here in Charlotte, and this is the Red Lip Chronicles. Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the Red Lip Chronicles. This is our official first conversation of the year. And I am here with my beloved Zeke the Superstar, Ezekiel Cheney, my brother, my friends. And so I'll start off by just talking about what the Red Lip Chronicles is.
Okay.
It's a conversation. Last year, I started a Facebook group, and it was actually called Beautiful Conversations. And I would just invite people over into my space so that we could all just kind of have this conversation in a no judgment zone.
Right.
Because it's really tough to talk about the topics and race and, all these things. And everybody has a big opinion on Facebook and any other social media outlet that they have. But, what do we have whenever we sit down and really talk to each other? You don't get to hear the inflections in people's voices. You don't get to see their facial expressions. And then some people just don't even have the balls to say it in person. So it's always healthy to hear other perspectives that are not your own. And I think that's what I wanted to create with Beautiful Conversations. So.
Well, I just want to tell you that I am excited, and very honored to be your friend, brother. No, honestly, I think that we've had such a big growth within a such short amount of time when it comes to friendship. Like the amount of stuff that we've experienced together. It's taken people years and years and years, and then even then, some of those people don't even develop these type of relationships because they're not willing to be vulnerable. Everything is really about moments, and sometimes those moments come back around, but it's also for you to learn the lesson so that when that moment comes, you recognize it and you just work through it.
There was a time when I used to tell people, I'd be like, because people always ask me, is Zeke my man? Like, is this your boyfriend? Is that your boyfriend? Like, no, like, he's my brother. But I think they would just see the love between us, and just, like, we always were having a good time. We always loving on each other, like, and not, like, physically, and people could just feel that.
Yeah, for me, I was really attached to her because I had always, I always had to be like the bigger brother. I always had to be the one to make the executive decisions and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, with having two younger sisters. So to have somebody who had kind of already walked through those years of what I've already been through, for me, it was like, okay, great. Somebody else can kind of like make the decision, make a suggestion, and I don't have to have all the pressure on me. Not that all the pressure would be on her, because she was like, pick somewhere to eat, or like, you know what I'm saying, like, do this. And it's like, I thought you was going to do that. But it was really great, like, and people really did, like, you enjoy y'all dating? Like, I see you at her house and all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, I was at her house because of other reasons. I mean,
like I said, I used to tell people, Zeke was like my man before my man really came into my life, in a different kind of way, though. It was like that part of, because we always focus on romantic love, and romantic love is what we all want and aspire to. But I think sometimes until you feel just unconditional love, period. Like there was a time where I literally wanted to make sure I had male friends, male friendships. That's it. That's what I wanted, because once we take good feeling stuff out, what do we have?
Right.
What do we still have left?
And majority of the time, perception trumps our reality. So if you don't have that unconditional love, then it's just lust. Also, I can speak on one time. So like, I had just moved out of my apartment, and people don't really know this. My cousin and I, we moved here from Charlotte, and we didn't have no job. We moved here from Atlanta. We had no job, nothing really. We just saved money, moved here. And we stayed in this apartment uptown, and then we felt like somebody tried to break in, so we tried to get out of our lease. People wouldn't let us out of our lease. Anyway, we were just like, we're just gonna move. Well, I really didn't have nowhere to move to. And Joy was like, well, child, you can come over here. I got a little futon. And and like I would be working like 13-hour days because I had 2 jobs, and literally go over her house, and like try not to disturb her, and like literally like go to sleep on her, futon. But during the midst of that too, like, when I have to like go to the bathroom or something like that, I would see just her room lined with vision boards. And that was the first time I had ever seen anything like that. I mean, it was like a check, and I'm not going to tell everything, like a check written out to herself, and like she had a board about love, and not necessarily what it looked like, but the things that describe the feelings that she wanted, to obtain, to obtain. And so that really, really had me interested. And, I would end up asking questions because I didn't really know much about it. There have been many moments where like I haven't had, and she was like, here's $100, or like, this is me investing in you, and not just because she invested in me, because I knew that was right, like that's what I do, for her, and we both do it for each other, and then that spreads like wildfire. Well, at least it's supposed to, spread like wildfire.
I think you may be able to testify to this on some level that, as you have grown in your walk, because I remember telling you, and I remember somebody telling me that at some point you'll be doing this for other people. It's like you develop a discernment, you develop and you just speak in spirit. And it literally started happening to him. And I was like, told you, like, it's very draining work to deal with people like that.
Yeah, it's filled with purpose. So don't get me wrong, because like when you allow God to use you, and you really know that this is something that you've probably been doing your whole life, just haven't really been aware of it. But now that you really get to the sole purpose of what you're speaking about, and it's an actual like connection to that person, not just, oh, this is something that I've learned over time or I've heard somebody else say, but when it's directly to that person, it feels good to give it to them, but it's also draining, because sometimes you get depleted, by like doing it all the time. And then some people get dependent upon that word, like, oh, so you got a word for me? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, girl, I'm going through this, or bro, like, I just need you to listen to this. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's the best thing people can do, especially when people have so much on their chest or their head or their plate, is to listen. But then also while you're listening, you need to be listening to God too, and allow Him the opportunity to share with another person. So as I've grown more in my journey and in my walk, I've definitely been able to assist people along the way, because I've had that too, and so that really allows you to know that like God placed these people in your life like this.
Distance, can affect friendships, can affect, and you got a little relationship now, whatever.
Mm-hmm. For me, moving back, I do. I ain't gonna lie, and I'm very, like they say in DC or Baltimore, very happy.
Yeah. Because there was a time when me and Zeke used to literally be on the phone crying, like, oh my God, what is it gonna happen? And I said, one day, Zeke, one day we're gonna be on the phone just like this, and this conversation is gonna be completely different.
And one thing I had to even learn about that too is like, it's not gonna always look like how you feel like it's supposed to look. And she would she used to say that all the time, like, oh, I'm gonna get, and it's like, it doesn't always look like how you think it's supposed to look, but you know that feeling, and you trust that feeling, and then you trust the consistency of somebody treating you just as well as they treat themselves.
We're very protective of each other too.
Very. Because I would definitely tell, no, I ain't buying it. No, don't want to hear.
That's secret.
But why? And she would do the same. She's like, no, don't trust it. Young Metro, don't trust it. Yeah, but Unconditional love is just very, 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 very necessary.
Absolutely.
It is, and it's no direct path. The thing is to just trust yourself. You know, when you trust yourself enough, you know, then you allow somebody else to see you in that placement, and then they have to reciprocate.
Right.
So I'll speak on something else that was very challenging for me. Um, my relationship with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and I, we had like the best relationship. Like we would just do everything together. We would talk together. But I think that we both grew in totally different places, and we really didn't know how to communicate to each other. It's like we weren't really speaking the same language. And I've recently moved her, you know, into my place, and not that it was like forced for me, but it's like I knew that this was part of God's placement, you know, for me to just like say, hey, you know, somebody has to step out of uncomfort and, you know, rectify this issue or at least work towards it. And, you know, we work towards it every day, you know, like you might be uncomfortable, like talking to your mom about certain things. I mean, I think my uncomfort comes from seeing her not be her best self. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, come on, girl, like you got it, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just like, yeah, you can do it. You know, and then you know you have these moments where it's like, yeah, I'm doing it. And then you have these moments where it's like it just pulls you back in. So everything really is about moments, but it's also about that unconditional love because you just have to love them in spite of where they are. You know, and at every stage of development. You know, you just can't pick and choose.
And again, I mean, as close friends, you know, I have mom issues too, you know, and have for years. That's something Zeke and I would. I mean, it's one thing you would talk to me about your mama, you know what I mean? But ain't nobody else about to say nothing about my mama.
You better not.
You know, like, and so to even share something like that and to, you know, like, we can't take love lightly either. I think that word gets thrown around so easily these days. People are revealing their vulnerability to you. I know with, you know, my members, my subscribers, like I do my best to try to protect, you know, their vulnerability because they're sharing things with me every day. That I mean, I see amazing things on a daily basis, you know, that people are dealing with, and we all have battles that nobody knows about. While we showing the highlight reels on social media.
Because that's what it is.
You're not supposed to look like your situation, but you know, if you're gonna use the word love, just remember that counts when people are unlovable too.
And that's deep. You know, because sometimes people don't really know how to love themselves. You know, they've never experienced that part of them that they really love, and then that they can say, oh, well, I love me enough to get up and to do it regardless if it feels uncomfortable or regardless if I know this feeling. A lot of times we're not going to be familiar with it, but you just still have to do it.
Okay, well, we're going to start wrapping it up. I'm going to ask you this final question is what's something that we want to see for each other in the future?
So something that I want to see for you is just a little bit more ease for you. I also just pray that all of your intimate relationships continuously develop in a positive way, and the things that you have manifested to, you know, just bring His life on, you know, like, you know, come on, Jesus, you know.
Okay.
We need to
Papa Band on me, Jesus. Papa Band on me.
Yeah, but that's what I think. That's what I want for you.
For you,
Jace.
Of course, I want to see your musical dreams come true. Mm-hmm. And I just want freedom for you.
Yeah.
You know, like I want you to feel free to, number one, just completely be your authentic self. Mm-hmm. For your finances and everything to be yours and just you live life just the way you want to. So, yeah, that kind of wraps up the conversation. What we're going to do is we're going to bring our guests into the rest of the conversation. Next time, if you guys want to join us, feel free. We'll be doing another conversation at the last Sunday of every month is when we're going to do the Red Lip Chronicles.
Thank you for this opportunity, and I just, pray that you continuously flourish and the right people get a chance to hear these messages.
Amen.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.